Playoff football. It's do or die, win or go home. Maine alumnus Jack Cosgrove and star quarterback Warren Smith are trying to create history, while second-year Georgia Southern coach Jeff Monken and his young dynamo Dominique Swope are returning the FCS's most proud program to prominence. Will the Black Bears march on to their first semifinal, or will the Eagles soar closer to a seventh crown? It's Maine versus Georgia Southern next on ESPN3. Welcome to the 2011 NCAA Division I Football Championship, presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Today from Paulson Stadium in Statesboro, Georgia, it's a quarterfinal round matchup between the Black Bears of Maine and the Georgia Southern Eagles. The remaining teams in what was a 20-team field, top-seeded Sam Houston State taking on Montana State. The victor will face two-time champion Montana, while Georgia Southern and Maine square off, the victor rewarded with either Lehigh or North Dakota State in the semifinals. And a good afternoon, everybody. John Sadak alongside the former North Carolina head coach John Bunning. We have about as stark a contrast as you can. Maine, from the frozen tundra of the Northeast, has never been to a semifinal. Georgia Southern speaks for itself in locale, as does the 6 national titles.
Well, that's what makes the FCS so special. You have a playoff system, and it's a reward just to get here, and then to advance. It's a really special day for both these teams.
You don't get to the playoffs, and you certainly don't advance without stars. For Maine, quarterback Warren Smith leads the way.
Yeah, quarterback Warren Smith, he is the most improved player for Maine because of the decisions that he's making. He needs to get everybody involved early today. The receivers, the short routes outside. He needs to get the tight end on the bootleg pass, and then he needs to get the offensive line and Kushan Brown going in the running game.
On the other side of the ball, you have the SoCon Defensive Player of the Year.
He is a great player, and for that to happen, they got to get this guy accounted for. This Brent Russell, he majors in construction management, but on the field, he majors in destruction management. He's a former wrestler, so he's got great hands and feet, and he is one relentless football player.
Relentless as well, Dominique Swope. He is now the primary back, taking that role from incumbent Robert Brown.
He is that guy. He lines up only 5 yards deep, but his ability to hit top speed in the line of scrimmage allows him to break arm tackles and then burst into the secondary, making big plays like this 76-yarder to start the second half last week against ODU.
Assignment will be paramount, and it starts in the secondary with 2 great safeties.
Trevor Costin and Jerome McMillan, those are the best tandem of safeties I've seen this year. They have great football intelligence, are aggressive and hard-hitting, and they will need to make touchdown-saving tackles inside and then move to the open side and get some open field tackles to stop the pitch.
The only remaining teams from FCS's top 2 conferences, the CAA and the SoCon. They clash, one moves on, kickoff is next. The Eagle flies, often to championship success. 6 times Georgia Southern has tasted championship-type success at Statesboro. It started with that man, the great Irk Russell. He's the coach that restarted this football program, while Maine alumnus Jack Cosgrove has taken
hunting before football in Maine after that win against App State. What has the community response been like between the community and your players?
Well, I mean, the thing that's really neat, we have a great following down here today. It was really neat. We had a bunch of alums and friends of the program join us in the flight. The parents are all here, and we're going to need everything we can get. This is a great crowd, a great environment. We're excited to be here, and we're going to need their support.
Now, in 2002, these teams last met. It was Georgia Southern that put an end to the Black Bear season. A win today would be a semifinal berth for the first time in Black Bear history. John?
Well, thank you, Angela. And this stadium that is steeped in tradition getting reinvigorated by head coach Jeff Monken. He has come back and led Georgia Southern to back-to-back double-digit win campaigns. Last year, a semifinal setback against Delaware. This year, looking for the semis yet again. And to get there, he needs to knock off a CAA team in the Maine Black Bears. The Southern Conference and the CAA put 8 teams into this playoff field. Only 2 total remain, and they're going head-to-head. Maine kicking off as Georgia Southern will return. Jack Cosgrove, an alumnus of Maine. And he sees his squad with 9 wins on the year, looking for another big road triumph. Brian Harvey on to kick away as the towels get swung around. Tens of thousands populate the prettiest little stadium in America. And Georgia Southern's kick return team, one of the best in the country. LaRon Scott, second in the country, averages 30 yards a return. The kick away, and we are underway in the quarterfinal round of the FCS playoffs as this one sails out of bounds. They take away the return game, but outstanding field position, John Bunning, as these Georgia Southern Eagles come onto the field led by their quarterback in Jabo Shaw.
That's not how you want to get started.
Jabo Shaw, a Georgia Tech transfer, a senior out of Flowery Branch, Georgia, second team all-conference in both the coaches and media honors, and would be second in the country in quarterback efficiency if he had enough attempts to qualify. You need 15 a game. He's only attempted 108 all year, and that's indicative of what we'll see today. Run, run, run. Comes out in a mini pistol with a split backfield behind him, and then a major change of formation right at the line of scrimmage. Out of the bone with motion, and they'll run the dive. Dominique Swope, one of the outstanding talents, one of many backs that average about 7 yards a carry, and that's thanks to this offensive line. Now Dorian Bird, the usual starter at left tackle, has had some ankle issues. He's out. And the man who had been the starter at the B-back position, Robert Brown, not listed as a starter coach, but a man that could do a lot.
We could see him at the A-back position. He made several great plays last week against ODU.
So here's Jabo Shaw on 2nd down and 4. Motion and a dive. Dominique Swope, and that'll be a first down. Gain of 5, and already Georgia Southern is in Maine territory. And here's the unit trying to defend it. Michael Cole led the CAA, 11 sacks on the season. The linebacking core led by Vinson Gibbons. Second team All-CAA performer, had a hard life growing up in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Head coach Jack Cosgrove said nobody committed faster than he did. And you know about the star safeties in Costin and McMillan. Both all-league, both with professional chance. 1st and 10. Motion again, and another dive, and why not? Right, coach, until they prove they can stop it, Dominique Swope gets a gain of about 4.
That's actually an inside trap. They will use that on occasion. Sometimes they influence by pulling the onside guard, but pull the backside guard and trap the defensive tackle. Stopping this triple option machine is what Maine has to do. They got to find a way to get a couple stops. Last week, ODU only stopped him with 2 fumbles, touchdowns every single other possession.
Motion, and here's the straight option as the pitch goes out to Nico Hickey. And Hickey, a gain of 5 to the 41-yard line, 3rd and short.
Here the ball gets out to the perimeter, to the pitch, and here comes McMillan up to make a shoestring tackle. But it's 3rd and short. These are great down and distances for Georgia Southern.
Nico Hickey had a broken collarbone suffered in the playoffs last year. That was a first-round win against South Carolina State. It happened just 2 plays before Jabo Shaw was thrown to the ground and had his jaw injured and continued to play on to the semis. They run the dive with Swope, and that's an easy first down. The interior of that main front is having a lot of difficulty.
Georgia Southern has big 4-foot splits between the center and the 2 guards. Those are the A gaps, and they are wide open. Maine has got to find a way to plug those gaps, either with a defensive tackle stunt or a linebacker jumping up in that A gap.
5 plays, 5 rushes for one of the nation's top rushing attacks. Second in the country, trailing only another triple option team out of its own league. Playoff participant Wofford, which has been eliminated. Off the play fake, Jabo going to throw, and Jabo Shaw has himself a first down and nearly a touchdown. J.J. Wilcox brings it in, the junior Out of Cairo, Georgia, the syrup makers in the high school ranks.
And this is how they sneak attack. They ran off the safety and then had Wilcox trailing in a second-level route. Great pass by J-Ball Shaw.
32-yard completion, so now down and goal, just a couple of yards away. And you wonder what they'll do.
I don't wonder they're
Little sarcasm there, Coach.
I'm picking up on you.
J-Bo on the keeper, Swope leads the way, and he darts in for 6.
On the quarterback's follow. And this is not a surprise to see what they do early. Maine's big opportunities will come later. They've got to find a way to get used to this game speed running this offense, because they've been practicing it a lot up there in Orono, but there's no way to substitute for the game speed that they're looking at right now.
J-Bo Shaw's 13th rushing touchdown. Now Adrian Mora has the FCS record for consecutive extra points made. It was snapped last week, but he's perfect on this afternoon. Georgia Southern, 7 plays, 60 yards, 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and already pay dirt. J-Bo Shaw on the keeper, and Georgia Southern a 7-0 lead in pursuit of a 7th. The Georgia Southern Eagles, 1 possession, 1 score. They did not punt once last week. Put 55 on the board in this stadium and taking out Old Dominion. 7 plays, 60 yards. J-Bo Shaw on the run. And Georgia Southern keeping it on the ground, but getting it in the end zone. And now it's up to Maine's offense. As we see the kickoff duties handled by Billy Greer. Maine's primary return man, Roosevelt Boone. Back there along with Alex Ofori, normally a defensive back.
John, that defense is over there on the sideline. They're talking with their defensive coordinator, Joe Rossi. They've got to get some things figured out. They've got to eliminate doubt, try to get rid of any conflicts that they have in their mind as they see things out there on the field. And then they've got to make great tackles. Tackling was not an issue. It's just the fact that those splits are so wide. They are opening up those A-gaps to slip the great running back Dominic Swope into.
Here's the kick from Billy Greer. Right-footed effort with some good leg, great hang time, and it's up to Roosevelt Boone from just inside his own 20. Roosevelt Boone, double-digit run back. So he gets a return of 16 yards. And it's Maine's offense led by Warren Smith.
Offside, number 1, kicking team. 5 yards will be added on. First down.
An Ohio Valley Conference officiating crew as this penalty goes on Jarek McKinnon.
Finds a crease right there. Roosevelt Boone has been their kick return guy and a backup running back all year. A little slight, but he is quick.
Maine coming out with some extra big boys. Double tight, deep single back. Handoff goes to Pushan Brown, and Brown gets a couple, and that's it. Brent Russell, SoCon Defensive Player of the Year, on the hit.
John, they've got to find ways to double team him on the run game and then turn the protection to him. Find him all the time. They've got to get him taken care of each and every play.
Smith out of the gun. Does have the ability to audible. Maine often scripts its opening drive. Hand off Pushan Brown on a stretch. No, they're going to go deep. One-on-one and a little contact and a pick. McKinnon. He's the backup quarterback. He's thrown for a touchdown. He's run for a touchdown. He's caught a TD. And there he might have saved one by leaving the pick off Warren Smith. And so this Maine unit that rarely turns it over, plus 11 in turnover margin on the season, second in the Colonial Athletic Association, 16th in all the land, gives it away on its first possession.
I thought this would be a bootleg, and it looked like to the Georgia Southern defense, but the cornerback playing back there, he did a terrific job hanging back and staying with the throwback receiver.
Warren Smith, just his 12th interception of the year from McKinnon. That's pick number 2.
He does it all for them. McKinnon is a superior athlete.
Motion and a toss. Darian Robinson absorbs first harm against Erwin Roach and finally gets escorted out of bounds after a gain of about 8.
You know, Troy Eastman is playing the right linebacker, what I call the stack linebacker position today. Instead of Vincent Givens, he's moved to the middle linebacker position. And on that play right there, Eastman overruns the pitch. He's got to stay inside out and use leverage to get the ball carried down instead of making an arm tackle and pick up 4 more yards.
Here's Georgia Southern on 2nd and 2. It's been money on every single snap so far for Jamo Shaw. Why not go to the well and Dominique Swope? It looks like he'll be about a half yard short. And that's rare, Coach. This Georgia Southern team racks up yards with reckless abandon. Swope averages 7 yards a carry. Robert Brown 7 yards a carry. 9 a carry for J.J. Wilcox. 6 for Darian Robinson. How do you stop these guys?
It's really difficult. You got to figure out the triple option puzzle. It is a puzzle, and it takes a while to get used to it because you can't simulate it in practice.
3rd and short, and some motion. Easily Shaw had it on the keeper, but here's the call.
Start, 31 offense. 5-yard penalty remains 3rd down.
Now this goes on Swope, the true freshman out of Buford, Georgia, who is not built like a true freshman. 6 foot, 209 pounds.
You wonder how he gets a procedure on a quarterback sneak. I would say he's a little anxious as a freshman. You know, he didn't start until 3 games ago. That's how significant Swope is.
Georgia Southern riding the back of Swope and Robert Brown. 51% successful on 3rd downs this year. Tops in the SoCon. But 3rd and 6. The pitch goes out to J.J. Wilcox, and that's a 1st down and more.
Set up the picket fence out there. Great blocks by the A-back and the wide receiver. This is how they get big chunks.
18-yard run, the hit by Vincent Givens, and here's what they did last week.
Last week they just opened up the gates for Swope inside, and they've started that way today. But then when you start taking away those A-gap plays, they take it outside on the pitch play or the option in the pitch.
55-48 final. Besting a CAA squad at Old Dominion is now a toss play. Goes to Nico Hickey. They get him out toward the boundary, and they get a 1st down to the 45-yard line. Again, Givens on the hit. But a 12-yard plunge, and Georgia Southern is dictating this game entirely.
And once again, you have the pitch play or you have the toss play. This block out here on number 32, Troy Eastman, he cuts him right down to the ground. Eastman's slow to get up. This takes a pounding on a defensive team, and it can really work with your mind, and it also can work with you physically. Right now, they're taking it to him.
And Maine normally rather stalwart against the run. 4th in the CAA. Held Appalachian State, 3-time national champs, to 3 yards rushing last week. As here's Swope. Look at that quick first step. Just bursts forward over left guard, and Troy Russell brings him down a couple of yards short of the marker.
He hits top speed right away. The quarterback reverses out. It's a belly. They work what we call express blocking. The linemen just avoid the defensive line, go up to the next level and block the linebackers. Creates a lot of running lanes.
And so the rushing yardage, no surprise. Georgia Southern outstanding so far today. 11 rushes, 76 yards. 2nd down and 2. And a flag as Swope easily has the 1st down. Gets submarine beyond the 30, but this might be
illegal motion. 2 men in motion at the snap. 5-yard penalty remains 2nd down.
First time I've heard the penalty call come as the whistle was being blown.
I am sure Coach Monken is saying, these are self-inflicted wounds over here. We got to stop that kind of stuff. Those are 2 unnecessary penalties I've gotten so far.
This Georgia Southern team is the third most penalized squad out of the Southern Conference, averaging about 43 yards in penalties. And even though his Eagles last week did not have to punt once on the game, Jeff Monken said it was far from a perfect offensive day.
That's the way those triple option guys think.
He talked about some issues on pitches. Is here a pitch from Shaw, looking at Nico Hickey, and Hickey to the 35, taken down by Troy Russell. That's right around the marker. It'll depend upon the spot.
Maine is having a lot of trouble getting the safeties up involved in the alley, the place between the linebacker and the cornerbacks. They got to fill that lane to stop the pitch.
They don't even bother to measure. Good spot for Georgia Southern and Jeff Monken. He apprenticed under Paul Johnson. Followed the legendary head coach now at Georgia Tech. Georgia Southern to Navy. Came back here to Statesboro. Dominique Swope on the dive. And Swope to around the 30-yard line.
When people talk about West Coast offenses, and I talk about Maine, they have the North Coast offense. This offense is so difficult to simulate in practice. You got to survive the first quarter. West Coast, you survive the script of plays. With this outfit right here, you got to survive the first quarter. See if you can hold them to 14 points.
8th play of the drive for Georgia Southern, which owns time of possession by a wide margin.
Just eating clock.
They fake it to Swope. Late pitch goes out to Robert Brown, and a first down. Slips through the first would-be tackle of Jerron McMillan. He gets an extra couple of strides before the safety brings him to earth.
Hey, Jerron McMillan, he's tied up by the A-back out there. He can't get loose. We got a player run down. We got a wide receiver blocking on McMillan. The cornerback has got to come fill that lane. You got to crack replace. When somebody cracks on the safety, the cornerback has got to fill off that.
16 yards on that gallop. Robert Brown began the day 74 yards short of back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. And oh yeah, he's not the starter anymore. Instead, it's this guy, Dominique Swope. Givens tries to stand him up, and Swope just pushes him aside and gets another couple of yards.
This offensive line provided Swope for 304 yards rushing against Alabama. That's pretty good. That's pretty good defense they're playing against. So this is no easy task to defend this triple option. And this offensive line, Georgia Southern's getting better and better.
Swope, 8 rushes, 39 yards already. He's closing in on 1,000. As Shaw, flanked by Robert Brown, gives the late pitch. Nice spin. And more extra yardage. Troy Russell brings him down just inside the 10. Now, this will be about a yard short of the marker, but for Georgia Southern, this is about picture perfect outside of a TD.
You watch out here on the perimeter. The lead blocker out there on McMillan, he gets free but is not able to make the tackle because he is playing on the ground. Last week, the video people here at Georgia Southern counted over 90 knockdowns of ODU.
Large split on that defensive line. They hedge thinking Shaw will keep over guard. He does. It doesn't matter. That's a first down and goal, gain of a couple.
Watch the offensive line come off here, put their hats right there in the chest of the Maine defensive lineman.
And now Georgia Southern in the red zone. Jeff Monken, who is coaching in his blood. His dad, Mike, 11 other family members, and 4 brothers have coached high school, college, or pro ball. Now he's trying to lead Georgia Southern to a national championship. Motion. And a keeper for Shaw, but not a whole lot. Jeff Monken has a cousin who knows a thing or two about trying to win a national title. His cousin Todd, the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma State, which according to some should be in the mix for an FBS BCS national title.
This is the one time where Georgia Southern will bring in some tight ends and get into a goal line package. Get an extra offensive lineman. in the game at tight end.
Second down and goal. Pitch goes out to Wilcox. Touchdown, Georgia Southern.
And I could just see some heads over there on the Maine defense saying, what are we going to do? I mean, they're looking at one another. It's frustrating. Once again, they've got to survive this first quarter. And what they really need now is for Maine to come out on offense and go down, push the ball down, and score some points themselves.
Swinging gate from Georgia Southern. Maine is great at blocking extra points. Has blocked nearly double-digit kicks on the year. This one away from Adrian Mora. And one of FCS's all-time great kickers sends it through. A 13-play, 79-yard drive that takes more than 8 minutes. Wilcox for 6. Southern by 14. We'll have more from the prettiest little stadium in America after this. Welcome back to Statesboro, Georgia, where Georgia Southern has touched the ball twice, 2 possessions, 2 scores. The latest off a 2-yard plunge by J.J. Wilcox. Wilcox, who was Georgia Southern's top pass catcher last year, now has 6 rushing touchdowns. And 8 minutes and 3 seconds of clock eaten up. The Maine bench and head coach Jack Cosgrove just got hit in the face, Coach.
I tell you what, you just don't really know what to expect until you get out here on this field playing in game conditions.
So kick time and a second opportunity for Maine's offense. Roosevelt Boone, Axel Ofori, deep to receive.
And the one thing about Coach Cosgrove, he tells me that this team is a bunch of road warriors. They played at Pitt, played at JMU, played at Richmond, played at Villanova, played at UNH, played at App State. Now they're here at Georgia Southern. They believe that they can get the game to the fourth quarter, they can win. They need to take the ball down the field now.
Here's the kick from Billy Greer. Good right-footed effort. Roosevelt Boone bobbles but settles just in front of his own 10. Now proving elusive. Boone with a window. He has Ofori, his fellow return man, blocking. Boone, 10, 5, and touchdown.
And no flags. How about that for taking it back and scoring? He bobbles it. That sometimes sets it up for the runner. Got a missed tackle right there. Another missed tackle right there. But then he outruns everybody. He had some great blocks, but he also broke a couple tackles himself. Roosevelt Boone putting Maine right back in the game. The problem here is that defense hasn't gotten any rest.
But, Coach, the officials are now gathered right around the 20-yard line. What is being discussed after that 90-yard return, Boone's first kickoff return for a touchdown? Here's the word.
Conduct on the kicking team's bench. That 15-yard penalty will be added on the kickoff. The foul was for a coach in the restricted area during the play, interfering with an official. Touchdown.
And so a penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct on Georgia Southern's coaching staff and the bench. So not only does Maine have a score to get within a TD, but will get some outstanding chance to pin Georgia Southern deep as Brian Harvey is on for the point after out of the hold of Chris Treaster. Justin Perillo doubles his tight end and snapper. The snap, hold, and kick away. And the kick is good. Officially credited as a 91-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Roosevelt Boone has given Maine new life. It's 14-7 in the quarterfinals. Welcome back to Statesboro, Georgia. NCAA FCS Championship quarterfinal, a 14-7 game. Maine is on the board thanks to a 91-yard kickoff return for a touchdown by Roosevelt Boone. But a penalty committed during the course of that run back, Coach. It will affect this kickoff.
Yeah, he's going to kick it 15 yards closer to the goal line. And that's all a result of what happened on the sideline. I've seen that happen before on a kickoff or a punt return. Referees are sprinting down the protected area from the actual end of the sideline into the bench area. And there is an area where coaches are not supposed to be. And those referees start flying down that sideline. They have no vision. And they probably tripped either over a coach or over a cord. And that's upsetting, and that should be called. Got to stay out of that area.
Usual punter, Jordan Waxman. On to kick away, LaRon Scott, the outstanding return man, no chance. So a touchback as we look at what Georgia Southern did to take its lead to a couple of scores.
Lots of guys touching the ball on this drive. There's Wilcox. There's Hickey. We give it to the big boy, Swope. And then the pitch out there to Robert Brown, number 5. 5 different guys touching the ball to go down and score a touchdown.
It's 19 rushes, 117 yards for Georgia Southern. 1 for 1 on passing for 32 yards, and time of possession 11 minutes and 23 seconds for the Eagles to 1 minute and 3 seconds for Maine. Toss, Darian Robinson. And Robinson out of bounds as we go down to the sidelines and Angela Mallon.
A typical Saturday for Jabo Shaw's family is spent apart as they have double duty. Their son Connor is also the quarterback at the University of South Carolina. These guys are best friends. They talk every day, and some of their most fond memories are actually in high school when their father coached them. Jabo was the receiver and Connor was the quarterback. And today, what a special deal with the entire family able to be in the picture for today's game.
And so Jabo, under center, transferred from Georgia Tech. The second-year QB faking the dive, decides to tuck and run and absorbs a wise hit. Nice job by Craig Capella to get penetration, but a wise loss of yardage there for Shaw.
Better on the perimeter. They feathered the quarterback with the defensive end. He didn't charge upfield. He allowed the quarterback to run towards him, and then he ran out of running room. Got him on the ground.
And so Maine likely feels as good as it has all day defensively, but 3rd and 5, Georgia Southern is still more than within striking distance for a first down.
But John, this is one where they need to convert.
Shaw, design pass play, a couple of pumps. First down. Zach Walker, the freshman, brings it in. A yard beyond the marker. Move the chains for the Eagles.
When you're playing against run, you really don't pin your ears back to go after a quarterback like you would in normal 3rd and 5 down and distances. You still have to play the run. Great protection. Great vision by Jabo Shaw coming back to find Walker on the deep hook.
And Kendall James, the corner in coverage. He's the man that shut down Appalachian State's NFL-bound Brian Quick a week ago. First down and 10, final minute in this opening quarter. Quarterfinal round, and Shaw on the keep. And even on plays that don't look great, it's a gain of 3 yards.
You just don't get many TFLs, tackles for losses, against this outfit. They're always going forward.
Raybone Charles, the nose tackle, 3rd-team All-League performer. A walk-on who head coach Jack Cosgrove said many programs believed was not big enough. But he has proven not only those programs, but the Black Bears as well, who did not recruit him wrong. He's a 3-year starter.
He's an anchor on that defensive front.
2nd down and 7, likely the final play of the quarter. Little flick goes out to Darian Robinson, and he goes out of bounds. Doug Alston, the stud defensive end, bringing him out of play.
Once again, a really good job out there on the outside, the perimeter, defending the quarterback in the pitch, feathering the quarterback. They really need to make the quarterback run to win this football game today. Don't let Swope ruin their day.
And so a gain of 3. It'll be 3rd and 4 when we come back. The pomp and circumstance of playoff football from Statesboro, Georgia. The Eagles 14-7 leading the Maine Black Bears. You're watching the NCAA Division I Football Championship presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. A berth in the national semifinal on the line. Georgia Southern looking for its all-time record 7th national title, while Maine trekking toward a semifinal for the first time in program history. The Maine Black Bears have been to these playoffs several times before. Only in 2 prior seasons, though, have they ever won a game. That was back-to-back years in 2001, 2002. Jack Cosgrove was the head coach back then. And most recently in 2002, it was a defeat at the hands of Georgia Southern that ended Maine's playoff push. At the start of the second quarter, 3rd down and 4 for Georgia Southern, which has dominated time of possession, owning almost 14 minutes of the first quarter. Toss play, Jonathan Bryant. That's an easy first down.
Boy, they're working their way into number 32, Troy Eastman's side frequently, and I'm seeing him on the ground quite a bit. That young man that can't get discouraged. He's got to be able to play off blocks with his hands.
Take a look at the history of Georgia Southern football. Eric Russell, longtime defensive coordinator at the University of Georgia, revived the program, and 3 years later, it was a national title. They ran the ham bone back then. Same basic offense, but run by the legendary Tracy Ham, an athletic Hall of Famer here at Georgia Southern and a Canadian Football League star. It's a dive play, gets only about a couple of yards. Still great push. Kevin Fanor, the senior out of Brooklyn, New York, the nose tackle in there on the hit. And Georgia Southern now 5 for 5 on 3rd downs, Coach.
And 2 of them in 3rd and 4+, and that's what you would call an advantage for the Maine defense, and then not been able to convert those. I just saw Robert Brown, the backup B-back, who also played some A-back, walk off the field, so he must be getting some treatment inside.
So Robert Brown leaving the field of play, and Jay Beauchamp continuing to lead Georgia Southern toward another score. Handoff up the gut. Dominique Swope brought down by Vincent Gibbons. And here's Georgia Southern in Maine territory. It feels like a flip of the script for these Black Bears, who owned field position last week and knocking off the 3-time national champion Appalachian State Mountaineers.
3rd time on this drive, though, they're facing 3rd and 4+. They need to convert one of these. Of course, converting on 3rd for them on 3rd and 4 to make it 4th and 2. That doesn't mean Georgia Southern won't go for it and possibly make it then. They're a 4-down team.
3rd down and 5 for Jay Beauchamp and company. Handoff, Dominique Swope. And Swope, with second effort, churns his legs to the 45, gain of 3. So indeed, it will be that predicted 4th down and 2. Vincent Gibbons on the hit.
Watch it as he makes contact. This young player is so strong, continues to fight with his feet in his upper body. And this is no surprise. Going for it on 4th and 1. These are the dangerous plays for the quarterback follow play, where they bring the A-back into the A or B gap.
And that's exactly what they do. So a generous spot helped a bit, but they're more than a yard beyond the marker anyway.
Jay Beauchamp is going to carry it most of the times on those 4th and 1s, following Swope into the hole, fakes it in there, and Swope just acts as an additional blocker. You can't account for that on defense.
So Georgia Southern's drive continues. These Eagles play to big crowds with great frequency. It's one of the best draws in the FCS, a stadium that holds 18,000, often populated by more than 20,000. Handoff and a dive up the middle by Swope, but goes a little more down to earth in his pursuits and gets taken down by Raybone Charles, the nose tackle.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, folks. The Maine offense has been on the field for like 3 plays, 2-3 plays. This Maine defense has got to be getting tired, and we got a player down right now.
It looks like Troy Eastman, the rover linebacker out of Rahway, New Jersey, led his high school to the New Jersey State Finals. Let's take a look.
He's the one I've been watching lately. He's been cut on the ground frequently. That is an inside trap play with the offensive tackle caving down the inside linebacker.
And that time he was taken from behind by Blake DeBartola. And so we'll step aside as they tend to Troy Eastman. It is a 14-7 Georgia Southern lead. The quarterfinals on ESPN3. The Georgia Southern Eagles enjoy a 14-7 lead. Their drive continues, and we take a look at the inner workings of the triple option.
Well, here's a little sucker play for him. This is an influence trap where this guy is going to pull, this guy is going to influence, and this guy is going to block down right here. Influence trap. The guard pulls in front of the tackle. The backside guard pulls and kicks him out, and the offensive tackle blocks down on Eastman, number 32.
And Troy Eastman went off the field under his own power. Appeared to be okay as he got to the sidelines. But Maine coming out, showing blitz pressure. 2nd down and 8. Shaw on the edge. Late toss to Darian Robinson. And he's brought down by Darlos James, the cornerback.
You can see Maine's getting better on the perimeter. They want them to run into the boundary, the short side of the field, and they're feathering the quarterback, making him run, and therefore they get better control over the pitch back.
Now another 3rd down, the 12th play of this drive, which is already in excess of 6 minutes long.
Fortunately for Maine, they have a number of guys that can put in on defense, the defensive line.
3rd and 4, Georgia Southern, and flags fly.
Start 31 offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
So again, it goes on Dominique Swope. That's now 5 penalties for 35 yards against Georgia Southern, 2 coming out of motion by the back.
Unforced errors. That makes a coach on the sideline, particularly the head guy, a little hot under the collar.
Georgia Southern, the Southern Conference champion. First crown since 04, the 9th in program history. Shaw 3rd and long. And Shaw to the 35-yard line as we get an update on the injury situation from Angela Mallon.
Like you said, John, Troy did come off the field under his own power. That's number 32, Troy Eastman. He's being evaluated. It does not look like he's going to re-enter the ball game. They're putting ice on his right leg right now. They will evaluate at halftime, but does not look good for number 32, Troy Eastman. John?
Well, thank you, Angela. And as a result, we have seen Sam Shipley, the Santa Barbara Community College transfer, come on in his place. He had that last tackle setting up this 4th down. Georgia Southern has already converted a 4th down today, but that was a 4th and a long one. On 4th and 4, Shaw to the edge. White jerseys in his face, and the late flip, no go. Troy Russell, the linebacker, turns aside Georgia Southern, and Maine can take a breath and finally go back onto offense.
Terrific job out here playing the 2nd and 3rd options of the triple option. They feathered the quarterback again. McMillan came up and destroyed the stock block of Patrick Barker, number 84, allowing the tackler to come in and make the play.
So Darian Robinson's run falls short, and here's the Maine offense led by Warren Smith.
John, they haven't been out here in so long. They're going to be cold sitting over there in that sideline. They weren't even sure where to go to get it back out here in the field.
Warren Smith out of the gun. Handing it off, Pushan Brown. And Brown, great second effort. Gets to the 41, gain of 7.
Set it in the open. They need to get this run game going, but I expect them to have to throw the ball first.
And here's a look at Maine's offense, which has not been on the field much. One of the scores came thanks to the kickoff return game. Arthur Williams, DeMar Altman, they're the wideouts to look for. Wide receiving corps has been decimated by injury, including top target Maurice McDonald, done for the year, and sensational tight end Derek Buttles, done for the year. 2nd and 3. Smith on a draw, giving Georgia Southern a bit of its own medicine. That's a 1st down on the quarterback keep as we take a look at the Georgia Southern defense. It all starts with Brent Russell on that line. Southern Conference's Defensive Player of the Year. Top 5 in career sacks in Georgia Southern history, and oh yeah, he has another year of eligibility. Darius Eubanks, outstanding athlete in the linebacking core, and LaRon Scott, many think he'll play on Sundays in that secondary. Maine will do this from time to time. Hard bark, try to get the opponent to jump, and sometimes change play or formation at the line of scrimmage. And the 12th man, the tens of thousands at Paulson Stadium, try to get their presence felt. Play fake. Deep ball. One-on-one coverage. Got him! DeMar Altman. They go big play in a big way, and Maine is inside of the 10-yard line.
Terrific throw by the quarterback, Warren Smith. I've seen this team play on tape before. They've struggled to throw the deep ball. That one is perfect. Right down the chimney. Great job by Altman to focus and catch that ball in his hands, almost on top of his helmet.
47-yard play. When Maine scored 34 points last week to beat Appalachian State, every touchdown came on a play in excess of 20 yards. That can't come here. Down a goal from the 9, and Warren Smith on the keeper. Inside of the 5. Mark him down at the 2. That is a gain of 7 for the gutsy Warren Smith.
Warren Smith will carry the football, and he has some really good games. He likes to run the quarterback power O. Watch the running back, Pushawn Brown, block out, and here's the pulling guard coming around the center, wrapping around, and he follows the pulling guard right up in the hole.
Well, the senior out of Forked River, New Jersey, the Iona transfer. His head coach, Jack Cosgrove, called him the most improved player in the Colonial Athletic Association. Flanked by Pushawn Brown with Derek Session in motion. Georgia Southern late shows blitz. Pushawn Brown tippy-toeing toward the end zone, and he's short. Gain of maybe a yard. And coach, very late, we saw Georgia Southern creep up some of those secondary members tight to the line.
They're going to try to stop this running game here of Maine in the red zone. Maine has gotten 64% touchdowns in this red zone, and they need one desperately here.
Smith under center, calls for motion. Pushawn Brown, the deep setback on 3rd and goal. Brown, nothing.
And who is it?
Brent Russell brings him down for a loss at the 5. 4th down for the Black Bears. And coach, I know it's a one-score game, but you've got to be thinking touchdown, right?
Absolutely, you're thinking touchdown. But here, deep down, you don't want this drive to go for naught. You've got to kick it.
So Maine sends on the field goal unit. Keep in mind, Georgia Southern, in its win last week, did not punt once. It has scored on 2 of its 3 drives today. And here it's field goal time for Brian Harvey. He has had 2 field goals blocked on the year, including 1 just last week.
And Chris Trister is the backup quarterback.
And it looks like we'll have a timeout.
A good time for a timeout. Maybe they're not sure exactly what they want to do. Maybe they sent him in with a fake. I've seen Trister run a fake to win a football game in overtime down at JMU. He said this team plays hard. They've got great senior leadership, and they really need a score here.
And Jack Cosgrove out of the timeout. Does he take a chance? As we take a look back and see the Black Bears exploits in Boone, North Carolina from a week ago. Teams generally don't win in Boone, but Maine not only went there through the air, also with its defense and Michael Cole, only 3 yards rushing for Appalachian State. Maine was +3 in turnovers, including a pick late by Kendall James. So Brian Harvey out of the hold of Chris Trister. A 21-yard try. The kick away, and the kick is true. So Brian Harvey's 8th made field goal in 14 tries on the year makes it a 4-point game. Georgia Southern and that triple option back on the field. When we come back, it's the FCS quarterfinals. A 7-play, 62-yard Maine drive takes 3 minutes and 37 seconds, capped off by a Brian Harvey 21-yard field goal. But Maine, Coach Bunning, these Black Bears, they were down at the 2, stuck for a loss on a hit by Brent Russell, and had to settle for a field goal instead of a draw.
They'd love to have scored, but it's good for their confidence to get some points on the board offensively, and good to get that defense 3 minutes and 28 seconds of rest.
But what a job, though, by Warren Smith to be on the bench as long as he has this game and come in essentially cold on your only prior possession, having thrown one of your rare interceptions on the year. Heck of a drive to march him down the field.
Absolutely. It was a great throw and great catch. But you're right. They were over the sideline for a good 8, 9, 10 minutes.
Brent Russell had the big hit. Began the day with 19.5 sacks, 5th in school history. Trying to close in on Gift Smith. Try to move up the all-time ranks. So Russell, 3 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. 13.5 tackles for loss now on the season, as Maine is given the task of trying to stop Georgia Southern's offense yet again. LaRon Scott, 2nd in the country in kickoff return. The all-time leader in Georgia Southern history in kickoff return yardage. He was a first-team All-League performer both in the secondary and on special teams. Kickoff duties from Jordan Waxman, the senior out of Kintersville, Pennsylvania. And they pooch it. They're going to concede some field position to Georgia Southern. Fair catch was called for, and that means Georgia Southern has to settle for not so great field position as they could have had at the 33. Darian Robinson, the man that called for the fair catch, but we take another look.
Absolutely. That was called by the non-fielding player there. He called for a fair catch. That is an illegal play. They put the ball back where it was caught by the receiver. No foul.
So K.R. Snipes had the hand signal, and now it's Georgia Southern officially at its own 33-yard line. 3 prior possessions, 2 scores. And here a first down handoff. Dominique Swope to the 35. Gain of a couple. Ryan Nani, defensive lineman.
Don't see Eastman back, so that means Shipley is in the middle. Deshaun Givens moves to the stack backer, the will linebacker. That's hard to do for any style of offense. Move from the middle to the will, and more difficult for somebody doing it versus the option.
There you saw Troy Eastman on crutches. That's not a good sign. 2nd down and 8. Play fake. Shaw wide open. First down. Kentrella Showers, the redshirt freshman out of Dublin, Georgia. His 9th catch of the year. By the way, that puts him 2nd on the squad. It tells you how often they put it in the air.
Well, they get the play fake in there. Get 2 receivers downfield. 1 short, 1 long. And the quarterback takes a big hit here at the very end. That's by Nanny, I believe. Ryan Nanny.
Senior out of Toms River North High School. Kendall James on the tackle. And now first down. Toss barely caught cleanly by Jonathan Bryant. And that'll be a loss of about half a yard. Let's see again the teams remaining in this field. What was a 20-team tournament at the start. It's been whittled down to these quarterfinals. Already through is Montana. Sam Houston State routing Montana State. Undefeated Sam Houston State has a win against an FBS program. The winner of Maine, Georgia Southern, takes on the victor of Lehigh, North Dakota State. Still to come, the 2011 NCAA Division I Football Championship continues next weekend with semifinal games December the 16th and 17th. Both games will be on the ESPN networks. Shaw on the keep. That'll be a first down. For more information, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 89 NCAA championships.
Now this play to the outside, they fakes it the pitch and takes it up inside. They've been feathering that pitch, that quarterback, for a long time now. He fakes it, takes it up for a big gainer and a first down.
An 11-yard run. Givens with the tackle. The methodical drive of Georgia Southern. You can almost feel like the Eagles will plunge into the end zone just as halftime will come. These teams met in the playoffs in 2002. That was a whitewashing 31-7. Georgia Southern has won both prior all-time meetings and might be well on its way yet again. J.J. Wilcox with a first down. Flag on the play.
Here comes the quarterback down the line of scrimmage. He's got a blocker. He fakes the pitch to the deep back and then pulls it down, takes it upfield.
That 11-yard run set up what looked to be a first down, but here's the call.
Illegal block in the back. 76 offense. 10-yard penalty. Remains. First down.
So Trevor McBurnett, the redshirt freshman out of Lawrenceville, Georgia, commits the infraction.
Now they're going to get a holding or a call right here on 76.
Illegal block in the back. And so Jabo Shaw with 24 rushing yards, 47 passing. Now has a first down and 9 as a result of the penalty. And movement, very late flag comes, but clearly the left side of the line moved.
False start, 31 offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains. First down.
Again goes on Dominique Swope, the true freshman.
You know, we talked in the open about how Swope hits it so fast, but there's no reason to be fast on quarterback sneaks or play action pass.
Now, I almost thought that the left tackle, Blake DeBartolo, showed that he moved even before Swope did there. So the penalties piling up, but they haven't had much of an impact on Georgia Southern so far. Shaw to the original line of scrimmage, and a few more for Zach Walker. These teams have met twice before, as mentioned in 2002. That was a 31-7 finish.
This is the quarterback. They are all run blocking. They call this play a smoke. He just throws it right out there to the wide receiver, short hitch pass, and then he makes a few more yards. It's a great first down pickup.
And they also met in 1987, and that was an overtime finish, 31-28, in which Maine blew a 21-3 lead. Now trying to come from behind against Georgia Southern. That's tough to do with a great time of possession squad. Fake the dive. Late pitch by Shaw. Jonathan Bryant, first down. Slips through 2 hits. Stutter step, another side step to the 6-yard line. A 34-yard run, first and goal.
Once again, down the line of scrimmage. And there's a block by Wilcox out there on number 4 Givens that really allows this play to explode.
Trevor Costin eventually brought him down, but Georgia Southern knocking on the door, looking for 6 from the 6. Jabo Shaw off a bad exchange. Far from clean pitch. Nico Hickey trying to will his way forward. Gets driven out of play by Darlos James.
You're not going to get that fortunate in most plays for the play to become a real busted play.
There was some issue on the center quarterback exchange.
Broke down the timing, John, is what it did.
Did get a gain of a couple of yards, but it's worth noting that Georgia Southern made some changes at the center position during the course of the year. Randavius Mann, senior, was the starting center. He was moved to the bench after the Appalachian State loss. It's here a handoff to Swope. Flag is out. He's down at the 1.
This is going to be another procedure call, I believe. This Georgia Southern group is excited to be here, excited to be playing at home.
And indeed looks like illegal shift against Georgia Southern.
It looks like Dominic Swope moves his right foot there.
Illegal motion. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains. Second
to
down.
Create that
timeout. Georgia
penalty.
Southern. First timeout.
And so Georgia Southern calls timeout. We'll take one as well. 14-10. Georgia Southern to lead, looking for a score when we come back. The tradition of winning at Georgia Southern supersedes all others. And these Eagles, who have more playoff victories than any other team in the FCS, have the lead, the ball, and just 40 seconds remaining on the first half with a second down and goal to come. This Georgia Southern drive, another clock-eating effort. 5.5 minutes started at the 33. GSU has only been stymied by itself today, Coach, in penalties.
No question about it. Just think about it. These Eagles, this Georgia Southern group is 31-3 here at Paulson. 31-3 in playoffs. Maine's never played at home in the playoffs.
Shaw on second and goal. The keep, the toss, the score. J.J. Wilcox, his second rushing touchdown of the day.
J-Ball Shaw holds on to this to the very last second and then pitches it to Wilcox. Outstanding play, ball handling, and on track by the running back, the A-back, J.J. Wilcox.
Adrian Mora out of the hold of Charlie Edwards. His third extra point of the day, automatic. The FCS record holder for consecutive extra points made sends in another, and it's a 21-10 Georgia Southern lead. Jeff Monken chatting it up with his kickoff man and Billy Greer after a 9-play, 67-yard drive from his offense. 5 minutes and 35 seconds, punctuated by the Wilcox plunge.
And of course, John, we're only left with 35+ seconds in this half. There's not a whole lot Maine can do. What would you do here? Hey, you could take a shot downfield. You could try to run a draw play or a screen pass here and then see what you get. You got 2 timeouts left. Don't want to have a issue. You don't want to create a negative play for your defense to go back out on this field. This Maine defense needs to get in there, number one, and rest. And number two, try to figure out how they can employ the game plan that they had going into the game, which is to try to force Georgia Southern to run into the boundary down after down. Right now, Georgia Southern using all of the field to run this triple option.
And remember, Maine, 2 timeouts left due to the field goal that made it a 14-10 game. They were set to kick the field goal and call the timeout just before the snap. Roosevelt Boone, the deep return man. Maine with the final seconds. This is the FCS Championship quarterfinal round from Statesboro, Georgia. And here's the kick. And it's a poocher. Maine from its own 32. And up man to the 39. Cody Simcox on the run back. And now it's Warren Smith, the ball in his hand. This Maine squad that was the preseason number 9 choice in the 11-team CAA.
And there is Brent Russell, Georgia Southern defensive nose tackle, Southern Conference Defensive Player of the Year, and he's excited. He is animated. Loves playing this game here.
Smith eaten up down to the 35. Brent Russell, the man who's been there all day, has been harassing Warren Smith.
Watch Russell. You've got to get 2 people on him. One blocker's not enough. He fights off a double team there and participates in the tackle. He shoots the gap of the power O behind the pulling guard and nails the running back, forcing the field goal.
The entire sideline just leapt to its feet as the stadium came to its feet. The Eagles celebrating that Maine decided to take its ball and go to the halftime locker room, and that's where we stand. A 21-10 Georgia Southern advantage. Coach, what have you seen in this first half?
I have seen Georgia Southern do what they do best, run different plays, different formations, but running their offense, the triple option for the most part, with a couple inside trap plays. I've seen Maine trying to adjust to the speed of the game on defense, at times doing a really good job out there on the perimeter, stopping some of the pitches and the quarterback runs.
What are the thoughts of head coach Jeff Monken? We check in with Angela on the sideline.
Coach, you guys have the lead at the half, but how have the penalties affected your team?
Well, I couldn't be more disappointed with the way we're playing right now. We gave up a big long touchdown on a kickoff after we score, a big play down the sideline there on a pass play, silly penalties on offense killing us, and we're not going to be able to overcome that. They're a good football team. We're going to have to play better in the second half.
How about ball control on offense? Are you pleased with that?
Well, I think they ran one offensive play in the first quarter, so that was positive. And you know, we got a big interception. Like I said, we got to do a better job than what we've done in the first half.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
John?
Thank you, Angela. As we have halftime in Statesboro, Georgia. A little chill in the air, but Georgia Southern playing some winning football. 21-10 Eagles on ESPN. And welcome back to Statesboro, Georgia. 21-10. The mighty Eagles of GSU lead the Maine Black Bears. John Sadak alongside John Bunning. Angela Mallon patrols the sidelines. The lone remaining squads out of the CAA in the Southern Conference fighting to advance to the national semifinal. The football championship subdivision decides its ultimate victor on the field. That national championship game comes your way from Frisco, Texas in January. But who will advance next week for the national semifinals? John Bunning, you have a number highlighted on your stat sheet that really tells the tale even beyond the score, and that's the lopsided time of possession.
It's incredible to look at this stat sheet and see that Maine has only been on the field offensively for 5 minutes and 15 seconds. Contrast that to Georgia Southern, 24 minutes and 45 seconds. They're 5 of 7 on third down. They're 1 of 2 on fourth down. That one fourth down conversion for Maine got them back out on the field on offense.
Jeff Monken was not happy with his team at halftime, but that's the standard that his program has set. Looking for an all-time record 7th national title and a 2nd straight trip to the semis. But Jack Cosgrove of Maine, who cracked 100 career wins this year against Delaware, trying to take Maine to where it has never been. Billy Greer on to kick. Roosevelt Boone on your screen, deep to receive. The flags are flying. The towels are circled. The kick is away, and we have second half action from Statesboro. Boone from his own 5. Boone to the edge. And 3 hitters bring him down, including J.J. Wilcox. That's what happens in playoff football. Rosters go down to 60, and some starters on both sides of the ball get involved on special teams. And so it'll be Brent Russell against Warren Smith. Second team All-CAA quarterback. Top 35 in the country in passing efficiency.
Coach Kaz said we got to get this offense going.
Smith 1 of 2 for a pick and 47 yards. And that's his day. He hasn't had the ball much. Motion from DeMar Altman. And his first play of the second half. One-on-one left side. Got him! Into Georgia Southern territory. Arthur Williams, the redshirt freshman out of Springfield, Mass.
John, they only have 2 receivers listed at X and Z. They don't have any backups even listed on their depth chart. So that there is a big play for Arthur Williams to start this second half.
24-yard completion. Jack Cosgrove said that Arthur Williams and DeMar Altman, his redshirt freshmen, were outstanding track stars in high school, but received little in the way of football interest. And while they think the world of them, they're still growing as football players. Pushan Brown, left side. And Pushan Brown to around the 41-yard line. So a gain of 7. LaRon Scott with the tackle.
Jeff Gakos, the left guard, leading Pushawn Brown around the corner to pick up that gain. This is what they want. They want a mix. They want a balance of run and pass. But they got to get it started with their passing game.
And while Georgia Southern is known for very dramatic differences in formation, Maine does it with subtlety. Here are late trips. Smith onto that strong side edge, tuck and run. He's got some legs. Slide for well more than a first down. And Warren Smith, known for his decision making. That's the difference in Warren Smith as a senior versus as a junior.
Good job by Brown out there on the edge, pinning the defensive end inside. They had it covered. Georgia Southern did a terrific job in coverage, so he pulls it down and makes a first down. These are the things that they can do with Warren Smith making good decisions.
13-yard run. As Smith, who grew up idolizing Brett Favre, points out the blitzers. Motion from Altman. Georgia Southern showing man. Maine, play fake. And on the corner, another first down. DeMar Altman, the other redshirt freshman. And Maine moving those chains.
They brought pressure up the middle. That's no good versus a bootleg pass if you don't get the quarterback contained. And he is out on the edge. He's got Session crossing, and he gets the deeper reception to the wide receiver.
It's a second straight 13-yard completion. Warren Smith used to wear number 13. He changed to number 8 this year, but not for bad luck. It's the number that he wore throughout his Pop Warner days, his high school days. And here on the draw, the lucky number 8 has some positive yardage, gain of about 4. He, in fact, was willed the jersey number. It's a tradition that goes on at Maine that seniors can leave their number to specific players of their choosing, and it was willed to him, perhaps with some prying, by Tyrell Jones.
There's so many good traditions here at Georgia Southern. They got their own up at Maine as well. Jack Cosgrove does a terrific job coaching these guys for 19 years in Orono, Maine.
He's looking for his 107th career win. Smith saw blitzers. Late changes the play, but the play clock is down to 5. Motion from Altman. Looking for a quick hitter. Instead, the fade to his tight end. Touchdown. Justin Perillo brings it in. That's his 4th touchdown grab. And Maine back within more than a reasonable striking distance. A 12-yard touchdown catch.
Just like that, they execute the offense of Kevin Bourgoin. He is a terrific offensive coordinator. 7th year at Maine. He does a lot of different things. As you pointed out, John, with the same personnel groupings, he makes them look different, and he confuses defenses as to how to get lined up and do their assignment on each play.
Brian Harvey, the point after, out of the hold of Chris Treaster. Perillo, the man who grabbed the touchdown, is the snapper in these situations. Snap, hold, and kick. Right on. And Maine within 4 points. So while Maine had to sit on the sidelines most of the first half, Jack Cosgrove, who had 2 teeth removed this week, not shy about the smile. 21-17, thanks to this toss. Smith to Perillo. We got a ball game in Statesboro. Jack Cosgrove, during the course of this season, received one of the greatest coaching honors that a football coach in New England can receive. Got the New England Football Writers D1 Coach of the Year honor. The first time a Maine coach has received that in over 20 years, as we check in with Angela Mallett.
Before coming to Maine, Warren Smith was at Iona, where they didn't have football scholarships and he had to pay to play. So when Iona dropped their football program, Coach Cosgrove immediately wanted to retain Smith. The feelings were mutual and Smith signed. Now, Coach Cosgrove told us yesterday that when Smith first came on the scene, it was a little shaky because his idol was Brett Favre and he was a consummate risk taker. But once he settled down, he was a great player and got voted the most improved player out of summer camp. Now this guy has 2,800 yards, over 2,800 yards, and the opportunity to be the first Black Bear to ever throw for 3,000 yards in a single season. John?
Well, thank you, Angela. And the greater irony, he was first discovered when Maine played Iona, and he essentially took the job and was now backup in Chris Treaster. It's the kickoff from Jordan Waxman. Again, nullifies the return game of LaRon Scott. They say, go ahead, Eagles. Take the ball near midfield, but we're not going to risk a run back. LaRon Scott, twice this year, has run 95-plus yard kickoff returns back for a touchdown, including once against Alabama.
But that type of kick gets Georgia Southern a short field. Great field position on the 44. If that was a power squib, my eyes are mistaking me. I don't get it. That ball needs to be powered down the field.
This Georgia Southern multifaceted attack comes out in a tight formation. Jabo Shaw on the option. Late pitch. Wilcox. First down. He's outrunning his blocker. Finally taken out of bounds by Jerron McMillan.
Just about how they started the half last week against ODU, except it's a slightly different play. A trap option, counter option. They got defenders on the ground, and Wilcox is having a day running the football for them.
36-yard run. They just got the kickoff return. In one play, they're at the Maine 20-yard line.
That's how explosive this triple option can be.
Shaw under center. And a little dive to Swope. Gain of a yard. The versatility of this offense, though, comes in many ways from its potent personnel. As we have seen this Georgia Southern team now rush 41 times for well in excess of 250 yards, and they've used just about every name on their roster.
Every one of them. Just think about last week when Maine played App State. They held them to 3 yards rushing, and look at those numbers today.
And that all from the first half, not including the 36-yard run by Wilcox. But that's Georgia Southern option football. Second down and 9. Toss it out. Nico Hickey takes a hard hit to his hip by Vincent Gibbons, the linebacker. Just short of the 12-yard line, so that's a gain of a long 6.
Remember that the pitch is the third option off the triple, and here is the toss sweep. Paul Johnson at Georgia Tech runs the same play. It is part of the bread and butter of the running game of the triple option, to run the toss plays, get them outside in a hurry, outnumber people with your blockers in the quick toss.
Paul Johnson 4 straight, then 1 AA Coach of the Year honors from 97 through 2000. And the offense that he helped perfect and coin gets another dive, and this one beyond the marker. First and goal inside of the 10. There's his apprentice, Jeff Monken. Followed Paul Johnson, Navy, Georgia Tech, and then succeeded him here in Statesboro, and his team 6 for 8 on third down conversions today, running that offense. Now, Jeff Monken has an OC in Brent Davis, Georgia grad, class of 97, but Monken is heavily involved in the offensive structure and play calling. Shaw, late pitch, Hickey, end zone, touchdown. Troy Russell draped on his back, and that's a 10-yard run. Georgia Southern responds quickly. Jack Cosgrove looking on to dismay.
This is the counter trap option. The backside guard pulls. Watch the block by number 7, Darian Robinson on the perimeter. Shipley is trying to get to the quarterback.
The previous play is under further review after the play was over. Unsportsmanlike conduct, 81 offense.
Boy, oh boy, Coach Monken's not going to like that at all. He's having a little chit-chat with number 81, Mitchell Williford, down there on the sideline right now.
And remember that in the quarterfinal round, they now can start to use instant replay. That was not the case in the earlier rounds of the playoffs, so this is under review. Can you tell from that angle, was his knee down before he broke the plane to the end zone?
They call it a touchdown. They have to have indisputable video evidence to overturn it. His knee goes down, but the ball is where when his knee hits.
This is our best angle. That's tough to tell.
That's a touchdown. They're going to call that a touchdown.
As it stands, it would be a 5-play, 56-yard drive.
starting with a squib kick that didn't result in any field position at all, trying to keep it away from LaRon Scott. You just gave Georgia Southern about 25 yards of field position. You can't do that against this team.
Nico Hickey, who had his collarbone broken, the playoff win against South Carolina State last season, only began the day with one rushing touchdown. It looks like his knee is down right there. It's tough to tell from that angle. Remember, you need indisputable video evidence. Heck of a job, though, with Troy Russell trying to bring him down to earth, and he carried him at least to the edge, if not over that plane.
Now, Troy's a phenomenal athlete, but they are still out of sync between quarterback feather and the pitch play. And, of course, they're getting the terrific blocks out there, that time by Darian Robinson, number 7.
Our field crew out of the Ohio Valley Conference getting word from upstairs that I believe this will be short, and they're going to have to spot the football based on the video.
After review, the runner was down before the goal line. Therefore, it's second down. Unsportsmanlike conduct, 81 offense. 15-yard penalty, second down.
Now you see what this really does to this
at the
play.
15.5-yard line.
It would have been
second
on the
down.
kickoff. Now it's on the 1-foot line.
And so it's 9 penalties for 69 yards for Georgia Southern. And we take a look at exactly the infraction. And you see him right there. Engaged. And then submarining after the play. Mitchell Williford, the junior, out of Duluth, Georgia. So Jabo Shaw fakes the pitch, now gives it to the edge. And just short, Jonathan Bryant.
Back to the same spot there, John. Just once again, great execution by the perimeter blockers for Georgia Southern.
And you look, his right foot goes out of play there, just short of the end zone. So while he has defenders in his neighborhood, probably had the chance to absorb a little bit more contact and plunge in. Instead, it's now 3rd and goal. Swope behind Shaw, who's kept on many of these occasions. He'll keep. He'll score. Jabo Shaw's second touchdown run of the day. Give him 14 on the year, and Georgia Southern gets the score anyway. Jabo Shaw leading another scoring drive and capping it off himself.
Orchestrating this offense as good as it can be done. Son of a coach, brother of a quarterback, starting at South Carolina.
The kick from Adrian Mora. Got it. Georgia Southern on 7 plays, 56 yards, 3 minutes and 13 seconds. Another score. 28-17, Georgia Southern, the quarterfinals on ESPN3. You're watching the NCAA Division I Football Championship presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And we come at you from the prettiest little stadium in America. Paulson Stadium at Statesboro, Georgia. Jabo Shaw getting it done more in the air with 56 yards and on the ground 25. But his 1-yard run, his second rushing TD of the day, capped off another scoring run for Georgia Southern. 28-17. Georgia Southern the lead. And the kickoff unit on the field as Jabo Shaw gets word from upstairs. Billy Greer on the kickoff for Georgia Southern. Roosevelt Boone, the deep man for Maine. Boone already with a kickoff return for a touchdown. That helped Maine hold on to a pulse in the first half. Greer's kick. right toward Boone. Able to take some strides forward, catch it in rhythm from his own 13, and undercut. Nothing. His block failed to hold. It's Georgia Southern outstanding kickoff coverage.
That's how you do it right there. The closer you get, the faster you go on kickoff coverage. That's an old special teams adage.
Boyd Sasser, the strong safety and junior out of Millen, Georgia, gets the big hit. And now the alternating Georgia Southern chants from either side of the stadium. They rush four after showing blitz, and Smith still flushed. Hit as he throws, and wisely throws it away, but he took a pop.
Good job getting rid of that ball, not taking a big sack. They don't need that right now. I'll tell you one thing that's kind of interesting after we see the big hit. You watch over there the Georgia Southern bench, you see an offensive line. I've never seen this before. Usually you see quarterbacks on the headset talking to somebody upstairs. You got the entire offensive line with headsets on, talking with their offensive coordinator who's upstairs in the box. He's also the offensive line coach, talking them through everything to make adjustments. Unusual.
Blitz pressure shown. They only rush four. One-on-one. Smith left side. Incomplete. Intended for Arthur Williams.
Now, John, this brings up 3rd and 10. You don't want to send your defense back out there in the field. And what do you call on 3rd and 10 with this style of offense? Well, you got to throw the football. You got to throw a screen.
Screen in the flat, though, could be dangerous. This Georgia Southern team takes the ball away incredibly frequently. 13 picks on the year, led by LaRon Scott.
There's my man out there. Brent Russell leading the charge right over the center.
They show blitz, only rush 3, but stunt Russell, and a pass picked off. They get the pick. Darius Eubanks, the junior backer who plays that bandit hybrid position, his 2nd interception.
He's a phenomenal athlete. This is tight coverage. They play a lot of man-to-man here at Georgia Southern. And Perillo runs downfield, gets engaged by Eubanks, and he just picks the ball off.
So here comes the Georgia Southern offense, now with over 300 yards rushing on the game. We're not even halfway through the 3rd quarter. Jabo Shaw fakes the dive. Late pitch. Jonathan Bryant. Nothing there. Trevor Costin, the free safety, all-conference performer, brings him down after a gain of a couple.
And we've talked earlier in the game, Georgia Southern's been able to use all of the field. The game plan coming in was to try to get Georgia Southern to run the football on the boundary, which they did that time, and they made it a stop for just a yard gain.
2nd down and 8. Just as Georgia Southern sets up the line, play clock at single digits. Maine playing soft. Shaw indeed throwing. End zone wide open. Kentrilla Showers, the redshirt freshman, had a good 8 strides on the field. 25-yard touchdown pass. Georgia Southern with 34 awaiting the extra point.
A substituted cornerback, Axel Afori's in there at left corner, also with a new safety, Kyrie Almatine. In between those two on the scissors route, they are not able to make the pickup.
Adrian Mora, perfect on extra points. And Georgia Southern, another score. They can do it on the ground. Jabo Shaw and Kentrilla Showers show they can do it in the air. Shaw with 10 touchdowns in the air on the year. Georgia Southern trying to march to the semifinals. ESPN 3. Georgia Southern, another score, make it 35-17. The Eagles the lead. And we take a look, Coach, at the Home Depot coaching adjustments that Maine is trying to make to stay in this game.
Well, coming into this game, they wanted to make them run to the short side of the field. And what you see here is two defenders, 1 and 2 right there on 1. It got them outnumbered. They were able to do a great job with the quarterback being feathered, but they want to run the football into the short side of the field. Now they come right back and hit him with a deep pass. This is what J-Ball Shaw does so well. Just when you think you've got something stopped on the ground, stopping the triple option, he goes up top with the pass.
Now kickoff time. The familiar name of Billy Greer. Sends it away. Axel Ofori into his end zone off his hands. And a touchback. This Georgia Southern offensive attack, 7 different rushers have at least 20 yards on the ground. That last play, a 2-play, 27-yard drive. Took just 49 seconds, and that's uncharacteristic for the day.
Off the turnover, that was a really killer play right there. And all Maine can hope to do now is move the ball, keep the ball, move the chains. Get back into your style of offense. Don't try to change things offensively here. Do what you do best.
Down 18 points. Every touch is a virtual must score. Almost everyone is on the line of scrimmage. One deep man, and they go to the quick slant, and they get some positive yardage. Arthur Williams taken down by LaRon Scott. And once again, Brent Russell getting in there.
See, when you bring pressure as they did with the corner blitz and the linebacker, they cannot block them all. Then they can't also double team Brent Russell. They got to single block him.
2nd and 3. Pushawn Brown. Georgia Southern goes for the strip. As a result, he gets some extra yardage. 7-yard gain to the 36-yard line.
Maine is no huddle most of the time. Sometimes they go faster than others.
And Warren Smith can call audibles, but he hasn't seen this Georgia Southern defense much. He's been on the bench quite a bit. They show blitz in the secondary. Smith recognizing. Play clock at 9, and listen to this crowd.
Responding to Brent Russell up, getting him excited.
They only rush 4. Pump fake. Looking deep. And a little too tall for Session. Hung him out to dry. She took a bit of a hit from Jarek McKinnon.
With Georgia Southern up pressing, getting in receivers' faces, Warren Smith has these audibles to try to throw down field. He pumped them. Good coverage. And who is that there with the coverage? It's the backup quarterback, Jarek McKinnon, playing defense.
2nd down and 10. A stunt, a 4-man rush, and a pass complete. DeMar Altman slips through the first hit. A third one finally brings him down just short of midfield. Josh Gebhardt, the end.
Just think about these two receivers that are playing for Jack Cosgrove right now, and there's no backups that I see on the depth chart. They're both redshirt freshmen. As you said earlier, John, they're track stars that didn't get heavily recruited, but they're playing great football. And they're going to need them down here to try to get some points on the board.
Motion from the tight end Perillo. The backer Eubank shows man, but the blitz comes, and Smith gets it off. Great block, frees up Arthur Williams. And Williams with that track speed. Williams diving to the pylon. Just short. They're going to mark him officially out at the 3-yard line. Lavelle Westbrooks took him out of play.
Georgia Southern brings a corner blitz from the field, but the play that was called was a screen pass with Perillo out blocking in front and just frees up Arthur Williams to catch the ball coming back towards the quarterback.
48-yard completion. Down and goal from the 3. The gun and 4 wide. Pushawn Brown, the setback to the right of Warren Smith. Georgia Southern showing blitz. Smith locked in left side. Hoists it there, and has himself a touchdown. He finds John Ebling, who is the 4th string quarterback. He had no catches all year until he grabbed the touchdown last week at App State. He now has 2 grabs. Both have gone for 6.
This is how deep they're going over there on that Maine bench to try to find a receiver. John Ebling, the 4th string quarterback, now out there on the field playing that Derek Session, that what I call the U-back. You go where we want you to play. Good grab, good throw, and a significant score for Maine to try to get some energy back on their sideline.
The point after from Brian Harvey, and Chris Treaster, designed keep, stood up, pushed back, and then some. Well, Treaster, who ran a similar play out of a swinging gate, not out of a set formation, for a game-winning 2-point conversion in overtime win at James Madison, one of the top plays in college football this year, denied.
And a smart play, no harm, no foul right there to run that type of play, to get a 2-pointer.
And the way Jack Cosgrove looked at it, you get the 2, you make it a 10-point game.
Yeah.
And you could be within a field goal to score. But we have just the 6 for Ebling, and then Treaster denied on the 2-point conversion try.
As Treaster ran that football, it looked like the term that we used to call run to darkness instead of to daylight. He had a blocker on the outside in Session, and he should have just continued on a path to the corner, and instead he darted back inside and got met with 2 or 3 Georgia Southern defenders.
This Maine team a year ago was 4-7. Jack Cosgrove said the biggest difference for Maine, the decision-making of Warren Smith. That's what led them to not only a runners-up finish in the very deep Colonial Athletic Association, but also all the way here to the quarterfinals. We come to you from Statesboro, Georgia. Alan E. Paulson Stadium, the prettiest little stadium in America. John Sadak, John Bunning in the booth. Angela Mallon on the sidelines. Brian Harvey on for the kickoff, not Jordan Waxman, the punter who normally handles kickoff duties. LaRon Scott deep to receive. They have not kicked at him. Many pooches today. This one straight away. And not Scott, but the up man in front of him. It's McKinnon. McKinnon can make plays. McKinnon brought down from behind at the Maine 41-yard line. They deny Scott. They still get burned.
You still want to kick the ball deep. You want to, but you are paying the price. Paying the price.
And we go back to the Maine touchdown. John Ebling, the 4th string quarterback.
Just a smash corner. The outside receiver running the smash route, just sitting down, keeping the defender close to him and allowing the inside slot receiver to get up in the corner and catch the touchdown pass.
Off a 41-yard kickoff return. Georgia Southern at the Maine 42. The dive. Gain of maybe a yard.
This is time for the Maine defense to take a stand here. They really need to. And once again, they start off with the dive on the first part of the triple option. 2 swope. See what they come back with this time. You see players shuffling in and out. Those are A-backs or tight ends in this case. Coming off the field, going on the field. Different formations, different personnel for Georgia Southern as well.
This Georgia Southern team that began the day 4th in the country at the FCS level in kickoff returns. Big part of Georgia Southern's success today. Tip ball incomplete. Jabo Shaw, very dangerous toss. The man who's normally so efficient.
Tried to throw a quick hitch route to the inside receiver. The defensive line did a terrific job getting their hands up. They now have one of the best 3rd down situations that they've had all day, a 3rd and 9. That doesn't mean that Georgia Southern is going to throw.
Michael Cole got his hand on it. He's been a big part of Maine's outstanding kick blocking unit, both on field goal and extra points.
The leading sacker, I believe, too, John, with 11, 15 tackles for losses as well. He's a good football player.
Jack Cosgrove said the day he gave his verbal, the coaching staff high-fived. They were worried that UConn or Rutgers would swoop in late. Shaw, deep ball, first down. Darian Robinson After a tip ball, the cool confidence to fire a strike and wide open over the middle. And that is the take no prisoners attitude of Jeff Monken and these Georgia Southern Eagles. 27-yard pass completion. And it comes on a third down play where Georgia Southern has converted 8 in 10 tries. You're getting the field position the Eagles have had on kickoff return. You're 8 of 10 on third down conversion. Good luck stopping these Eagles.
Hard for the defense.
Late bad pitch behind Darian Robinson. And a Georgia Southern team that does put it on the ground gives it away. A Maine squad that entered plus 11 in turnover margin on the year gets the turnover and the ball. Sam Shipley with the recovery.
This is a huge play for the Maine defense. And once again, that ball looked like it was tipped by the defensive end to create the misdirection of the ball going to the pitch man. The end man on the line of scrimmage, I believe that was Doug Alston, tipped that pass, that lateral to the pitchback backwards. Big recovery for Maine.
Alston, who had been limited due to a cast on his hand, able to show that manipulation prowess. DeMar Altman, first down. First play goes for 13 from the man who used to wear number 13. Warren Smith only had one bad half of football on the year. It was the second half at New Hampshire, the regular season finale. Threw 3 interceptions in a 30-27 loss. But Jack Cosgrove said he was pretty banged up. Took some big hits that day, along with many of his teammates. And now healthy Warren Smith trying to lead a comeback. Williams with Hudson Presume on his back. 9 yards, just a yard short of the first down. So Maine continuing to drive. Time continuing to tick away. Inside of 3 minutes left, third quarter.
Good protection on the twist game. Georgia Southern running a lot of man-to-man coverage. Working on Presume at that point with the deeper dig pattern inside. Running away from the corner to pick up position in the pass.
This Maine team has journeyed far, all the way down to Statesboro. The program raised over $400,000 for all of the charter flights this year. Warren Smith calls timeout. Only one bus trip on the year. Maine has played at Pitt and lost by just a touchdown. Has won at James Madison. Has won at Appalachian State. And is now trying to win at Paulson Stadium, where only 3 times before have the Eagles lost in a playoff scenario. Warren Smith, the first Maine quarterback to crack 3,000 passing yards. He's going to need to add a bunch more here, Coach. 35-23. And we take a look back at why Warren Smith called his timeout. They're showing that blitz pressure. And Smith calls the TO. But, Coach, we have seen that creeping toward the line of scrimmage blitz pressure many times, and it's often not brought. They're just rushing forward.
It's just a show, trying to confuse the quarterback in the offensive line. It's second and short. You want to make sure you get a first down. They want to move the chains. Coach Cosgrove, he's taking this team on the road. He calls them the Road Warriors. We're like the NFL. We travel.
Smith under center. He needs 2 yards. Motion from Session. Pushan Brown, the deep back, gets the ball, gets the first down. Still churning his legs at midfield. And they'll mark him down to the 50. Brent Russell, though, all 6'2", 291 pounds of him, did his best to deny Pushan Brown.
Watch Russell hit the center and knock him back. They try to gang block him with the backside guard to try to knock him sideways. He holds his ground. He's strong. He's stout. He's low to the ground and plays great with his hands. He's a former wrestler, folks, and he is relentless.
Converted from defensive end from a 3-3-5. They play fake. Smith launching it deep. Arthur Williams just off. Could not connect. Deion Stanley in coverage. That was a touchdown.
Great play fake. Williams is open just over his outstretched hands. In that case, you want the receiver to continue to run before you look back, because you waste so much time looking back for the ball. Continue to run. Run it down. He put plenty of air onto that. He needed to run that ball down and catch it.
2nd down and 10 from midfield. Blitz comes. And the quick hitter, the safety valve, and Derek Session. He converted from the running back ranks due to wide receiver injury. And it's now 3rd down and 4.
He's been a great player for them. He's a senior out of Baltimore. Derek Session does it all. Plays wide receiver. Plays tight end. He's the U-back. He runs back and forth. He seals off edges for runs.
Georgia Southern showing blitz. Only 3 down linemen. The blitz comes. Smith under pressure. Underthrows his target, and Derek Session. 4th down.
Warren Smith's got to make this throw. They can't pick them all up, but he's got a sight adjust, and he's got to get this ball up. This is right down in the dirt. Session is open.
And Maine is 0 for 3 on 3rd down conversions. So now the Black Bears, who led the CAA, 67% effective on 4th downs in 18 tries, make it number 19. They need this score.
They're coming.
Here comes the house. There goes the ball, and it's short.
That's a completion, but it's short of the 1st down.
And I know the house is coming there, Coach, but a little surprised to even see that route as part of the package.
Yeah, that route is not part of the package. He's got to throw it to the other receivers. He's got to count on his protection. Good tight coverage by Georgia Southern to make the stop.
Presume taking down DeMar Altman. Georgia Southern taking over on downs and taking command of this game with another score.
Well, that was a big set of downs right there. They had an opportunity.
Only 1 minute and 4 seconds until the 4th quarter. Jabo Shaw fakes the pitch, looking, and tosses the screen. Robert Brown has been on the bench quite a bit. Sidesteps a man to midfield. That's a gain of 8. Sam Shipley took him out of play. Robert Brown had some form of injury take him out of play, Coach. We saw him go off to the training room.
And then he came back on the field, and the trainers were working with him down on the field there to see that they could determine if he could go back in, and he's available.
You saw the number 1 flashed by those fans. Usually that's more rhetoric. This year it was literal. Georgia Southern was the number 1 team in the country for 7 weeks and wants to be number 1 when the season comes to a close. Shaw gives the dive and Swope. 1st down. Tick, tick, tick to the 44, gain of 6.
And you see
Sam Shipley on the hit.
You see Shipley make the hit, but he drags him forward for another 4 or 5 yards. He has got great leg strength. He is tough to bring down at the line of scrimmage. He's going to fall forward and make extra yards.
The winningest program in playoff games in FCS history. The most wins, the most titles. They're 4th quarter away from going to the semifinals. 35-23. Jeff Munkett and his Eagles lead Maine. The 4th quarter on the other side here on ESPN3. The band plays on, the 12th man, well represented by the tens of thousands that populate Paulson Stadium. And Georgia Southern has not known a deficit on this day. We go to the 4th quarter from Statesboro, Georgia. Paulson Stadium, the sun setting. on both this game and perhaps Maine season for Jack Cosgrove and company. Georgia Southern has the ball and a 35-23 lead.
John, it looks that way. You know, I wrote down at the beginning of the game, can Maine hold up for 60 minutes? Can Maine not panic? Get better with game speed on the triple option? Can Maine make some early stops? They haven't been able to do either of those things, any of those things. Offensively, they need to make plays, and they couldn't do it on fourth down.
Dominique Swope on the dive. This Georgia Southern team has already held the ball for over 31.5 minutes on the game. We're just starting the fourth quarter. On the year, Georgia Southern led the Southern Conference by a lot at 33 minutes and 5 seconds. That's the domination that has been time of possession today. This is the FCS quarterfinals. A national semifinal berth is on the line. Some teams already through. Georgia Southern, its old hat, the 6-time national champs. Maine has never been to a semi. Tossed to Darian Robinson. And Georgia Southern, with each successive run, distancing the Black Bears from that dream even a little further. We take a look at the remaining teams, where we were start of the day, where we are, and where we're going. As Georgia Southern at the Maine 28-yard line.
Those toss plays to those A-backs that are in the short motion happen so fast. They're on the defense. They can't react quick enough.
Heavy motion. And here come the flags. Almost felt that one coming.
False start, 76, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Trevor McBurnett, he's already been whistled once today, and this Georgia Southern team sees the penalties continue to pile up, but it hasn't really been a big-time effect. The few times it could have burnt the Eagles, they've still scored.
Overall, it has not had the effect. It's just making the head coach mad. Gives him a lot of things to coach next week.
10 penalties, 73 yards for a Georgia Southern team that only averages a shade more than 43 yards in penalties a game.
And John, I say that there's still plenty of time. Maine can still get some stops here.
Turnover would be huge. Again, it looked like movement left side as Shaw, faking the handoff, gets taken down to the backfield by Craig Capella.
Capella really closes down here from the defensive tackle position to make a big play for him.
Sophomore out of Galloway, New Jersey. Played at Absegami High School and began the day with 4 tackles for loss. It's a long day for these Maine defensive linemen in particular. Second down and 17. Shaw on the option. Wilcox on the pitch. Shoulders a defender out of bounds. Nearly has the first. He's only a yard short. Malik Walker absorbed the harm from J.J. Wilcox.
Great block on the perimeter by A-back Jonathan Bryant. Cuts down the defender, springs him.
And listen in on this hit. That's a 14-yard run for Wilcox.
Wilcox is a big guy, 6 foot, 215 pound junior. He's made a lot of nice plays for Georgia Southern today, both blocking and running the football.
3rd and 3. Shaw to keep. Shaw riding some would-be tacklers, including Vincent Gibbons. And this will depend upon the spot. It looks darn close. Georgia Southern looking for its 9th third down conversion in 11 tries on the game. And we will have an official timeout for a measurement. And here's Shaw behind Swope.
Once again, that's the quarterback follow. Fakes the run. Swope becomes a blocker. You can't account for that. The linebacker's trying to tackle the quarterback with a blocker right in his chest.
And they are inches short. That's about as close as you can be. Some boos come out, but this is automatic for Georgia Southern, right?
Swope was freshman of the year because of his running, but now he's turning into a blocker for Jabo Shaw. It's one of the really good plays of triple option football is this quarterback follow play. You just can't account for it.
And Georgia Southern going for it on 4th down for the 3rd time today, already with one such conversion. They bunch tight, Swope behind Shaw. Shaw keeps, plunges, 1st down. And not only do they get the conversion, keeping the drive going to get a score, but Jeff Monken knows that's more time Maine doesn't have the football.
Absolutely. That's what this offense is all about. Jabo Shaw saw where the linebacker was blitzing in one A gap. He says, I'll go in the other. Very good captain of the ship is Jabo Shaw. He runs this offense so well.
Jabo Shaw, son of a head coach. His brother Connor had the starting job at South Carolina as a penalty nullifies what was Swope.
On the left guard, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
What was Swope going to the end zone.
From what I understand, Connor Shaw was a wide receiver. Jabo Shaw was the quarterback with him, and then Shaw, of course, Jabo goes to Georgia Tech to run the triple for Paul Johnson, and Connor ends up going to South Carolina. He became a quarterback when Jabo graduated. Now the field general up there for Steve Spurrier in the Gamecocks.
After the much maligned Stephen Garcia got the final heave-ho from Steve Spurrier. First down at 15. Shaw decides to keep, decides to get brought down hard by Craig Capella. Physicality ratcheting up. Capella slow to come to his feet.
This is what Maine wanted to do here. They wanted to get them to run into the short side of the field, feather the quarterback, make him fake, and then get him on the ground. They wanted him to run the football.
Many of the fans, I think, thought that there was a face mask. The hand came in really close to that face mask area.
Or a horse collar, John, back to the shoulder pads, one or the other.
Now 2nd down. Shaw, late flick. Jonathan Bryant, nothing. Maine's team speed. In this case, Darlos James, the corner out of Mount Vernon, New York, nullifies the run.
Maine has some very good athletes. They do a great job recruiting in New Jersey and New York. And that's a great job keeping your feet there and staying on your feet and making the sure tackle. Darlos James.
As a result, it's 3rd down and 9. The Eagles did not get their last 3rd down of this drive, but then they got it on a very short 4th.
This is important.
Here, though, 3rd and 9. Maine showing blitz. Delayed handoff and Swope undercut. Nothing. And you've got to think field goal time for the first time on this afternoon.
And if John, if he doesn't make this tackle right here, if he doesn't go down on that shoestring tackle, he's in the end zone.
Great job by Jerron McMillan, the all-CAA safety out of Hillside, New Jersey. Now Adrian Mora looking for his 58th career field goal. It's on the way. It's a little left. It's no good. And so Mora, who if his career ended today, would own the all-time best field goal made percentage. Began the day converting 84% of his field goal tries. Unable to do so.
This is a big stop for Maine. Gives them a shot to move it downfield quickly. They don't have much time.
We'll be back on ESPN 3. Welcome back to Statesboro, Georgia. National quarterfinal action. The winner moves on to the semis. Will it be Maine for the first time in program history, or Georgia Southern trying to gallop toward a 7th national title? Warren Smith has the ball after a field goal miss by Georgia Southern's Adrian Mora. Maine with 2 timeouts, down a dozen. Pump fake. Deep ball. And his running back, Pushan Brown, underthrown as we go down to Angela Mallett.
Coach Cosgrove just came over to the bench, was giving everybody high fives, saying what a big deal it was to be able to block that field goal. He said, let's stay focused and get a score. We got to go out there and score, guys. John?
Well, thank you, Angela. Now Maine has to take advantage and get some yardage and, even more importantly, a score.
Trying a little trick play. Always worth looking at. Pushan Brown just a little short. There's a fake hitch wheel route to Pushan.
Tight end Justin Perillo. Brought down by Darius Eubanks. But Georgia Southern will allow that. Time ticking. Third down.
Man-to-man coverage. Eubanks versus Perillo.
Darius Eubanks runs a 4.55 40. He was a wide receiver in his high school days at Thompson, Georgia. And he's also one of many on this defense that have added some weight since last season.
Just a junior.
Put on 13 pounds since last year. Much of the defensive front has added 15 to 25 pounds. That weight has been pressing on Warren Smith, who's 0 for on third downs today. Finds his target, slipping through a tackle to Mar Altman. First down. Finally brought to earth by McMillan and Stanley at the 45-yard line. It's a gain of 20.
How about these young receivers? And once again, we've talked about it before, John. There's no backups. They play every snap. They never come out.
And they need to push tempo here. This Maine team that often goes no huddle, but will then look sidelines, sometimes for adjustments from upstairs. And that could take some time to process. They don't have that luxury. Smith, tip ball off the hand of Eubanks. The line got up and in charge.
When you force the known situation, which Maine has to almost pass every single down, that allows the defensive line to press the pocket and time it to get their hands up to tip balls.
Blake Riley with that deflection. Second down and 10. Warren Smith grew up idolizing Brett Favre. Favre knows a thing or two about coming from behind late, erasing fourth quarter deficits. Down a dozen. Smith over the middle. Heavy coverage and incomplete. Arthur Williams on a jump ball. He's trying to rip it away from the covering Lavelle Westbrooks.
Great finish by Westbrooks right here. This is a well-thrown ball, but terrific coverage. Breaking down from the safety position to rip the ball out and finish the play. Young players watch what he did. He finished the play.
On the scoreboard, they show GATA, or GATA. A long-time saying of former head coach Kirk Russell. Blitz shown. Smith on third down. Plenty of time. No options. And Smith on the run. Reverses field. First down. Great slide by Warren Smith to the 41-yard line.
There's a little Favre action right there. He had no place to go. Terrific coverage by Georgia Southern. There was no receiver open. Pulls it down and runs for a first down.
12-yard run right to the line of scrimmage. Out of the gun. Hand off Pushan Brown. A couple of stutter steps. Eubanks brings him down at the 34. So a gain of 9. Injured player for Maine.
That's Chris Howley down there. He was an all-conference player, one of their best offensive linemen, right guard. Played for one of my players that I coached at Glassboro State out of Runnymede, New Jersey, Triton High School. All-conference player.
So the training staff tends to Howley. As we will step aside. Statesboro, Georgia, Paulson Stadium. Jack Cosgrove sees a banged up Black Bear, but his team on the drive. 30. Chris Howley, all-conference right guard for the Maine Black Bears out of Triton High School in Runnymede, New Jersey. Out of this game right now. His injury brought about the time out of the field, and the Black Bears try to go on without him. continuing this spurt. Steve Shea, the senior out of Corinna, Maine, takes his spot at right guard on 2nd and 1. Welcome back to Statesboro, Georgia. National semifinal appearance on the line. John Sadak, John Bunning in the booth. Angela Mountain on the sidelines. Warren Smith under center. DeMar Altman in motion. Hand off. Pushan Brown spins his way to a 1st and 10. Lavelle Westbrooks with the ultimate takedown. As there is a flag on the play.
Pushan Brown, 1,000-yard rusher from Maine. 11 touchdowns rushing.
10 defense. 15-yard penalty.
So we get word of a personal foul on Josh Rowe. He was a second-team all-conference linebacker last year, so tack on 15 more. Josh Rowe, who hails from Alabama, he was called by his high school coach the best linebacker that I have coached in 35 years.
And he is coming out of the game to be spoken with.
Jeff Monken, the head coach, going right to Rowe. It's Maine, 6.5 minutes and ticking. Down a dozen. Armed with a couple of timeouts. Hard cadence from Smith on the edge. And barely finds Session. Able to go up the ladder and get it as we check in on the injury situation with Angela on the sidelines.
Chris Halley is on the bench right now. Trainers are looking at his left ankle. They're taking off what's already a brace on his left ankle. It looks to be a possible ankle sprain. It's questionable whether he'll go back in or not, John.
Well, thank you, Angela. So Steve Shea out there still at right guard. Let's see how that side holds up against Brent Russell. And a bad snap for Warren Smith.
Just what you couldn't have happen right then and there. Probably saw some pressure coming out of the corner of his eye. It's a low to the right of his body snap. It was not a good snap.
And remember, that was Brent Russell that was matched up right in between Williamson and the new right guard Shea. Perhaps he knows a drop down and the guard to his right. The pressure coming from Russell. 3rd and 11. Big blitz shown. They bring it. Smith picks it up one-on-one. Jump ball incomplete. LaRon Scott, the first-team all-conference performer, taking it away from DeMar Altman.
Hard to beat that cover guy. He is really good. It's a good pass. Watch the pressure coming. He just unloads it with McKinnon tackling from behind. There's no question what Coach Cosgrove's going to do here. Fit the right play.
Maine's season is on the line.
Here it is.
Maine needs this conversion. The Black Bears led the CAA in 4th down conversions. 0 for 1 today against the blitz one-on-one. Inside, knocked down by LaRon Scott. Intended for Arthur Williams. And Georgia Southern's biggest secondary performer comes up huge on consecutive plays. And barring a turnover, that probably cements a win. 35-23. Georgia Southern back on offense when we come back on ESPN. The winds briskly blow the 6 championship flags here at Paulson Stadium for the Georgia Southern Eagles. They enjoy a 35-23 lead on the Maine Black Bears. And for more on a flag of a different color, here's Angela.
That's right, John. It's Derek Hyden that flies the flag of a different color. What that stands for is don't give up, never surrender, and fight until the end. And it was Coach Monken that asked him to fly this flag because on September the 24th, when Derek made a hit in the Western Carolina game, he cracked his vertebra, and it was in his neck. So now he's wearing that halo traction device for at least another week when doctors will evaluate the stability in Hyden's spine. In the midst of it all, he's kept such a positive attitude. I'm actually standing next to him on the sidelines right now. His number 4 jersey isn't a football jersey, though. It's a baseball jersey because a regular jersey would not fit over the halo device. But we will get good reports, hopefully, on Derek Hyden. Back to you, John.
Well, thank you, Angela. And that is a black flag that he flies. It's an idea that Jeff Monken had before the year as Dominique Swope on 1st down plunges for 6. He wanted to have the black flag flown to signify don't give up for the team. and it was intended to be a rotating effort until the tragic injury to Derek Hyden, who fortunately looks like will make a full recovery.
Now, both these coaches care so much about their players. Coach Cosgrove is a team builder, and Coach Monken, he's a disciplinarian, believes in all the traditions that have been established here at Georgia Southern.
Play clock at 1, but motion and a flag. Ball is loose and Maine pounces upon it. And what is the call here?
It could be defensive offsides.
Raybone Charles, it looked like had the recovery, but Georgia Southern indicating it's out of Maine.
Offside, defense, 5-yard penalty remains.
Trying
Second
to
down.
time the snap count and make a big play. It's Givens. That's a good thought. Trying till the end. He has such a, Coach Cosgrove has such a positive attitude, enthusiasm throughout practice. I was at practice this past August.
And the first penalty of the day on the Maine Black Bears. Georgia Southern a first down. Maine has 2 timeouts, but it needs a turnover. Play clock at 2. And the dive for Swope takes the first hit from Capella, but Cole eventually brings him back down to earth. Mentioned earlier the catchphrase that's often used on t-shirts, on pennants, on the scoreboard here at Paulson Stadium, GATA, G-A-T-A, came about when Irk Russell was at Georgia Tech. He was coaching for the University of Georgia at the time. He was defensive coordinator for the Bulldogs. And Georgia Tech, all throughout its facility, on its shirts, on its gear, had the Georgia Tech Athletic Association, GTAA. And he said, when we go back out there in a halftime speech for the second stanza, we need you to rearrange those letters and to make it GATA and get after their blank. J.J. Wilcox on the run. Gets a gain of a couple, and that's a saying that Irk carried with him when he rejuvenated the football program here in Statesboro.
Good stuff. A lot of great traditions here. Irk Russell started it all, and the other coaches have carried it forward.
As Maine calls timeout. And there's the bust of Irk Russell. Restart of the program back in 1983. Already through to the national semifinals. Montana last night routing UNI. Sam Houston State dispatching of Montana State convincingly earlier today. And a game in progress. Lehigh out of the Patriot League at North Dakota State. Lehigh, though, without All-America wide receiver Ryan Spadola, who shattered multiple program records, suspended by the NCAA due to a racial slur that was used in a retweet. The 2011 NCAA Division I Football Championship continues next weekend. Semifinal games on December the 16th and 17th. Both games will be on the ESPN networks. For more information, go to ncaa.com, the official online home for all 89 NCAA championships. And Georgia Southern trying to get through to those semis in pursuit of a 7th national title. Jeff Monken looking for his first as a head coach. He's in year 2. Shaw out of the gun on 3rd and 8. Blitz pressure. Design handoff, not a whole lot. Takes multiple hits, but finally Dominique Swope goes down. For these Maine Black Bears, though, what a turnaround season that it looks like will come to a close. Maine had 4 wins a year ago. The preseason number 9 choice in what is essentially a 10-team CAA. UMass, bound for the MAC and FBS, would not count toward league standings. And Maine not only got to the playoffs, but got its 3rd ever playoff win, all under the stewardship of the alumnus, Jack Cosgrove.
He's got a great coaching staff as well. These players have stuck together. They've made so many road trips. Got into the playoff. Big win last week. Coming here with high hopes, hoping to slow down this option attack. Couldn't do it. But I know Coach Cosgrove is proud of these players for their efforts.
Yeah, Jack Cosgrove knows that once again his team was banged up. These Maine Black Bears don't have the depth of many of their other CAA brothers. They lost Eric Buttles against Pitt. They
Really
lost Maurice
player.
McDonald against Towson.
Their leading receiver.
They lost Eric Johnson, missed the final 9 games of the year. One of the other veterans in the receiving corps, and yet still here they made it. Charlie Edwards on the punt for the first time in these playoffs. The high wobbler, fair catch. Trevor Costin brings it in at his own 34. And the Maine Black Bears send out their offense. Out of timeouts, 2 minutes, 40 seconds left. Warren Smith and company need a score in the worst way.
John, I've spent a little time over here at this football office of Georgia Southern the last couple weekends being down here, and I saw a sign that Coach Moncton hung. Congratulations to the 2010-2011 class for earning the highest cumulative GPA in program history. It's good stuff.
This
it's important.
Not only winning on the field, but in the classroom. Smith on first down. Knocked down by Darius Eubanks. Don't see a tight end overwhelmed off it, but Eubanks did just that to Justin Perillo.
He's had that assignment for Perillo all day. They play a lot of man coverage here at Georgia Southern. Pressure again on Smith.
And Perillo, by the way, has 40 pounds on Eubanks. 2nd and 10.
Perillo, just a sophomore. Got a great future at Maine.
Georgia Southern showing that blitz. They only rush 3. Smith with plenty of time. Picked off. Jarek McKinnon got his 2nd start in the secondary, and he's got 2 picks, and that one will seal it.
And John, he might be the starting quarterback next year for this team. That's how good an athlete he is.
Jack Cosgrove shaking his head. He knows that decision-making for Warren Smith would be of paramount importance.
That's just not a good throw. He was throwing it to the right place, I think, John. He just couldn't complete the pass. Couldn't get it on the outside number of the receiver.
So Maine out of timeouts and just about out of time. Georgia Southern with the ball as the na-na-na-na chant begins, and the Georgia Southern tradition of shaking the keys, telling the opponent to warm up the bus. J.J. Wilcox to the 40-yard line. Gain of 6.
As I said, John, I spent a lot of time over there at the football office. I'm going to thank the video director, Matthew Chops Hammock, for allowing me to be part of his office for the last couple weekends. I thank you so much.
And you hear that harm. Helmet to helmet, shoulder to shoulder.
Still playing hard. The Director of Media Relations, Rose Carter, thank you so much for all your help with our team down here this weekend.
Dominique Swope. First down. And the way this Georgia Southern team is going, likely to have a couple of 1,000-yard rushers on the season.
And just think, Swope didn't even step on the field hardly until 3 weeks ago. Didn't carry the ball against Citadel. Didn't carry the ball against App State.
And now Swope and Robert Brown both within 100 yards of 1,000. And victory formation time for Jabo Shaw. He transferred from Georgia Tech to win a championship. He takes a knee. And he's only a couple of kneel downs away from another step in that direction. And listen to this crowd at Paulson Stadium.
Delaware knocked him out of the quarters last year, or the semis last year, and here they are going back again.
Another knee from Shaw. It's been a team effort. We've chronicled this triple option. Here are the bountiful names that have been a part of a true team victory for Georgia Southern. And another march to a semifinal. Jeff Monken reminding his team they have to snap. There are all those names. And now Monken going across, exchanging pleasantries with Jack Cosgrove. A hearty congratulations extended from Cosgrove to Monken as time ticks away and the Eagles are on their way to the semifinal round of the FCS playoffs. One more time, the chant of the fans at Paulson Stadium. And depending upon what happens in that Lehigh North Dakota State game, there could be one more time in Paulson. Should Lehigh win, Georgia Southern would host that semifinal. But if North Dakota State gets the victory, North Dakota State is a higher seed, would host Georgia Southern. That would be the second ever meeting. Georgia Southern lost at North Dakota State, and it's passed. One more time the sign. And these Georgia Southern Eagles, their 11th win of the year.